All right, it's time for our weekly Q&A session. So all your questions and comments, I'll try to answer them the best I can. You may have noticed that I've got a microphone, so I think the audio quality should be better. A lot of people complain about that, and it makes sense. It wasn't great. I think it will be better now. If it's not, I'll continue trying to fix it. Also, I'm at the university and I think it's exam time now and there's lots of students running around being loud and stuff downstairs. I think they're gone now, but yeah. If you hear a bunch of loud teenager noises, it's the students that are running around. I can't do anything about that. Okay, so let's go with the questions. This is great. I follow your instructions, and that TTS Maker is great. It sounds really natural. Yeah, it does. I'm playing the recording on repeat now. This is going to really help. Yeah. This is about the language islands, which from now on I'm posting several language islands, the text, the instructions, and a bunch of questions for you to create your own language island about that specific topic. Posting at least one a week, maybe I'll do more, but people have been asking about it, and I'm going to just give you some language islands for free so that you can practice your speaking on your own. And the concept's pretty, I explain it in the video itself, but the concept is pretty simple. You write down everything you want to say on the topic, you read it aloud over and over again, you use TTS Maker, create an audio file, listen to it over and over again, so your pronunciation also improves, and you learn vocab, and your listening improves. And finally, you try to answer the same questions from the list without looking at the text. You would do that after listening to the audio and reading the text several times so that you already know what to say more or less. This will prepare you for different conversations. The first one was about your daily routine, how to talk about your day, what you do in the morning, what you do in the afternoon, and so on. I'll post more videos with more language island material. So just follow instructions, do them, stay consistent, and your speaking will get good in any language fast, as long as you do them consistently. Okay. The echo in the audio is quite disturbing. Okay, it's hard to understand. Yeah. I'm trying to fix all of this now. Please tell me what method works to any language. I will start new language, test your method. That's in the exact same video where I explain step by step everything. Watch the video first, instead of asking questions. Watch the whole video, take notes, maybe watch it twice. And if you still have questions, then ask them. But everything you should know is there. It's a Catholic university, right? So we've got every hour we get and it's 12 o'clock right now. So yeah, we get the bell tower. Okay, but yeah, follow the instructions from the video. And if the video is about how to do something, make sure you watch it, rewatch it if you didn't understand the first time. Maybe read the script, take notes, but don't ask make sure that what you're asking is not something that is not already explained in the video, right? At which learning stage should we start doing this, referring to language islands? I would say we would need some kind of prior knowledge in the language, right? Not necessarily. You can start using language islands from day one because you've got everything you need there. Yeah, in order to speak, you need to have a basic understanding of how grammar works in the language, and you need to know some vocabulary, actually quite a lot of vocabulary if you want to speak the language. Yeah? But with language islands, you can start speaking from day one because you write down everything you want to say, you translate it, you listen to it, you read it aloud, so you're already speaking, even if you don't know the grammar and vocabulary yet. In fact, you're learning the grammar and vocabulary by repeating all those sentences, your own sentences translated into the language, you're repeating them aloud, and you're learning the grammar and the vocab in context, in your own context. Yeah, these are the most relevant sentences that you can practice. There's nothing more relevant than your own opinions, your own sentences. So yeah, you can start doing this from day one. It doesn't mean that it should be the only thing you do, but it's a very good way to learn grammar and vocabulary in context. Okay. Yeah, someone else says, I suggest if possible get a native speaker to quickly check over your islands. In some languages, the written versions and spoken vary massively, and computer-generated translation may produce correct yet very stiff-sounding sentences. This is true. If you only use language islands, or if you only learn, just translation, sometimes what you say will not sound natural. It may contain errors as well, but that's less likely these days. AI is pretty good at translating, especially if it's a big language, it's a common language. So there won't be that many mistakes, unless you learn in an obscure language. But it will not always sound very natural. But you're still able to speak, right? And from zero to conversational and then fluent, even if you sound stiff and a little bit unnatural at points, that's not a huge problem because you're still able to speak. And if you're able to speak, it means that conversations will take place. They will happen. And if you're talking to people using your language islands, eventually you're correct. Yeah, you'll naturally adopt the way native speakers speak. You'll notice that some things you say, either they'll correct you, which is not very common. In fact, it's getting less and less common because people just people are cowards these days. They won't correct you because they don't want to, cause tension or anything. But you will notice something you say, they say it a little bit differently. That is inevitable, though. There's no way to learn to speak a language without making mistakes. You will always make mistakes. With language islands or with any other method. Language islands is the fastest and most effective way to learn a lot of stuff you can say, and then you start speaking very early with this. You'll make mistakes, but you'll make mistakes with any other method as well. Yeah, so you might as well use the fastest one, so to get to speak as fast as you can, and then you learn naturally. Okay. It's a great idea. We'll try it. But what about more languages? I mean, if you would learn 10 languages, it's not. I mean, if you would learn 10 languages, it's not will be as to. Before, not only in the comment section, but anywhere on the internet, if English is not your native language and your English is not very good yet, go to DeepL, write your comment there first, and see what a native speaker. DeepL has this feature, the writing correction feature, and then it will give you like more or less the same thing that you wrote, but written in a way that a native speaker would say. So it will correct your spelling, grammar, and it will make it sound good. Please do that before your comments. Not only in my comment section, but everywhere, because that way you learn to properly speak English and to write in English. Because this is, honestly, no offense, but this is difficult to read. I mean, if you would learn 10 languages, it's not will be as to make long break each from the other. How many languages is possible in assume you what the care? I think what he says is, and this is about, okay, this is a comment in the video how I learn multiple languages at the same time. Yes, you can learn multiple languages at the same time. Absolutely, you can. And I explain how to do it. Yeah, you focus really hard on one language per day or per week, and you just go easy on the others, just do some input, but daily input in all the others. And he's asking, okay, 2 3, this is what I understand from the question. Yeah, 2 3 4 languages, it's good. What if you want to learn 10 languages at the same time? You can still do it. You can. It's going to take you more time because obviously, if you've got 20 hours a week to dedicate to language learning, and you learn 2 languages, that's 10 hours per language. If you learn 10, no, sorry. If it's 2 languages, that's 10 hours per language. If it's 10 languages, that's 2 hours per language. So obviously, yeah, the more languages you learn at the same time, the slower progress will be, but you can still do it. Yeah. So if you learn 10 languages, work really hard on one day, and then all the other ones, make sure you get some input. Listen to something. Then the next day you work in the second one really hard, or maybe 2 languages a day, work really hard on them, and then do input in the other ones. Make sure you're doing daily input in all of them. Yeah, just 10, 15 minutes a day of listening. That's enough. If you also doing intensive work in the language once a week or so, at least, yeah, you'll improve. Yeah, 2,000 hours watching videos is so passive. Hearing those common words repeatedly must be less actively. Yeah, 2,000 hours of dreaming Spanish. I keep seeing more and more of those videos. People like my Spanish after 200 hours, my Spanish after 300 hours. And look, just watching stuff is extremely slow and inefficient. Yes, eventually you will understand the language, and much later you will also speak it somewhat, but it's very slow and ineffective. And you don't, if you are, if you're a person who has goals and has things to do, you don't have the time for that. I mean, maybe you do have the time for that, but that's time you're not spending doing something else, right? So, okay, if you get to 2,000 hours of listening by listening to the language while working out 2 hours a day, okay, that's what I do, by the way. That's really productive, right? You're listening to language material or podcast, and you're working out. A really productive use of your time. If you sitting on your sofa watching YouTube videos 2 hours a day, it's a massive waste of your time. I mean, if you do it because there's a show you really want to watch, and that's your chilling time, yeah, okay, then go do it. But if watching 2 hours of YouTube videos a day is part of your productive time, you're not being productive. Okay. What is your opinion about the Easy Languages channels? Do you use them as a resource? Yeah, Easy Languages. Personally, I don't watch them much, but people like them and they're good. And they're good because they show you exactly how people speak in the street, for the most part. It's not the best way to learn from scratch because it's quite limited. They've got a topic and they ask the same question over and over, and people give their answers. But it's got a couple of good things. One, it's natural language. It's people speaking in the natural habitat, let's say, normal. They use slang, they speak normally in the street, so you learn that. So it's really good for comprehension. Also, it has subtitles for the most part. I mean, I haven't seen all of the easy languages videos, but what I've seen is that they've got subtitles in the target language and in English. So it's good for comprehension. But it's quite limited. So it's good. It will not do much for your speaking if you just do that. Yeah. If you just binge watch those videos, it will improve your comprehension and you learn some words. But I would combine it with a bunch of other things. Obviously, there's no one magical thing you should do. For listening comprehension, it's good. For speaking, you should do something else. How to learn two languages from the same branch, like same family, like Dutch and German, or Portuguese and Spanish. And then one of the answers, it's interesting, one of the answers to that comment is, I believe this is one of the don'ts in language learning. Just don't learn two similar languages at the beginner level. Wait until you reach an upper intermediate level in one and then start learning the other. I used to agree with that, and I don't anymore. Because if you learn two skills that are similar, like let's say you learn in boxing and Muay Thai. I know I always go back to boxing because, I mean, I used to suck at football. I was so bad that my mom wouldn't come watch my matches. So at least that's the only sport I've done at a pretty successful level. So if you do if you practice like two similar instruments or two similar sports or any two skills that are related, they will, and there are scientific studies that confirm this. Doing a second, like practicing a second sport that's similar, or practicing, like working on a second skill that's related, similar to the first one, things might get confusing sometimes at first, but in the long run, I'm struggling to speak today. It's good because it helps you see things that you wouldn't see there if you just were doing one thing. Yeah, if you do things that are not part of whatever skill you're working on, whatever instrument, sport, whatever hobby you're doing, they're not exactly part of that, but they're related somehow. They will help you learn better. So learning two languages at the same time, or three that are from the same family, not a problem at all. In fact, you could learn all the main, not all the Romance languages, because there are lots and lots of smaller ones, but all the main ones like Portuguese, Spanish, French, Italian, Romanian. You could learn all of them at the same time, no problem. How? Well, like I said, you focus really hard on one, maybe two a day or per week. Yeah, you do language islands, you do, and I'll go back to language islands later because they're especially useful for this. But you memorize vocab. In fact, you don't need to memorize that much vocab if you're doing this, because yeah, that's quarter past 12. You don't need to memorize that much vocab because there are so many cognates that they will look. Cognates are words that look similar. They have the same root and they look similar in different languages. You recognize a lot of vocab. So what you need to do not to confuse them is, one, get input, especially listening input in both or all the languages from the same family that you're learning. Yeah, listen to them regularly. Spanish, Portuguese, and Italian are very similar in terms of vocabulary and grammar, but they sound very different. And if you listen to all three daily, you will very quickly know which one is which one and which vocabulary you should use in which one and so on. And then language islands. If you use language islands, you can go back to the language island about talking about your day that I made a video yesterday. You can write that in English, and then if you're learning Portuguese, Italian, and Spanish, and French, let's say, all from the same family, you can translate it into all four languages, create an audio file for all four languages, and listen to them one after another every day. And you will very quickly learn the differences in pronunciation, grammar, and vocabulary between all four languages, because it's exactly the same sentences translated. And you can do this with more and more language islands about more topics. Very quickly, you will learn all the differences in vocabulary, grammar, and pronunciation between all the different languages from the same family that you want to learn. And for speaking, yeah, sometimes you will mix things up. You will use vocabulary from one language in another language. It might happen, but again, it's not a huge problem. And the best way to avoid this, to fix this as soon as possible, is again a lot of speaking, a lot of listening and repeating drills in all the languages, and then using language islands again. Read aloud your sentences in each language over and over again, and you'll be fine. So it's not something that you should avoid. You can do it. It's not. Yeah, sometimes it can get confusing, but long term, if you do it like this, using language islands and getting lots of inputs, especially listening, you'll very quickly learn. It will be, in fact, beneficial to learn more than one of them at the same time. Okay. Okay. All right. There's an interesting comment here. Most of this is really solid, and it's honestly the best practical advice I've seen. Hard drills will get results, but a couple points seem really wonky. I'm struggling to believe associations will work. Why? Because you have never tried it before. So you've never done it, and you struggle to believe it will work, even if people use them all the time successfully. Maybe you should try them and practice for a while until you get good at them. For a start, learning a word is much more complex than merely memorizing it. According to who? Learning a word means knowing the word. And yes, some words can have different meanings, different contexts, and all that. But that doesn't mean that if you learn that dog is perro in Spanish, and you associate it, and you create association, and you remember the word, that doesn't mean you don't know the word. Yeah, maybe you can use perro in some other context at some point, and it doesn't mean that you don't know the word. It depends on the language similarity to your native one or grammatically simple language. I don't see a way around thousands of hours of exposure. Okay. Yeah, there are different types of vocab, right? And I talk about this all the time. There are cognates. These are words that are similar to the same word in languages you already speak, right? Yeah. Organization is organización in Spanish. You see it, you don't need to create an association or anything. You can remember it. You can instantly recognize it. That's a cognate. And the more similar the languages are, the more of those you'll have, and the less you'll have to learn. That makes sense. Yeah, but that doesn't mean that associations aren't useful for other vocabulary. So there will be other words that are not similar at all to the ones that you already know. Yeah, and for that, you can either see them in context over and over and over again, on average 10 or 12 times to remember the word, or you can create an association. And if you create an association, the second time you see it in context, you already remember it. Most of it, if you associate them correctly. That's what associations are for. Yeah. So the more different the language is, the fewer cognates there are, the more useful associations will be. And if you don't believe in them, it's because you haven't tried. You don't know what you're talking about. That's it. And finally, I don't see a way around thousands of hours of exposure and for your mind to get used to the nature of another language. Okay. thousands of hours of exposure. Yeah, you need a lot of input, a lot of listening, and all that. But there are ways to make it faster, and that's what we're doing here. And if you're not even going to try the techniques to make all the input to accelerate the process, why are you even here? Okay. Uh, why I don't make videos speaking other languages despite being a polyglot. And then comment says, we all know the true answer is to talk to hot women in different languages and use the girl's face as a thumbnail. I think he's referring to Xiaoma, whatever his name is. He always has some like girl thumbnails. It clearly works. But yeah, not my thing. Like the white guy shocks Chinese people, or like yeah, no, it's really not my thing to do that. Okay, thanks for this. So to clarify, round one isn't just one go through; it's as many repetitions as one can do before going crazy. Um, yeah, with the sentences you want to learn, be it from so when you're doing massive amounts of repetitions, listening and repeating, or reading aloud over and over, language island sentences or sentences from a list of, yeah, from a database like Glossica or Tatoeba or something like that, you need to do as many of them as possible, as many reps as possible. So obviously you need to see the same sentences several times. So if you've got 5,000 sentences, you should do 20 or 25,000 reps in total. So 4 or 5 times each sentence, but not one sentence 5 times, next sentence. No, you do like 1,000 sentences today and the next 1,000 tomorrow and so on. You do the whole list and then you review the whole list again and again and again as fast as you can. This is brute force learning, but it works. It works really well. Yeah, why I don't make videos speaking other languages despite being a polyglot. Yeah, another. What about if the title is in English and you have English subtitles built into the video? Like, not just the YouTube captions, but actually on the video, if that makes sense. Yeah, I've done that before with CapCut, but the thing is, if you want to add subtitles to a video, it's a lot of time you have to spend editing the video, adding subtitles. You have to correct them, write them, stuff. And also, if you make that kind of really edited videos, you get the opposite reaction. And this, people are going to complain no matter what. If you make that kind of videos, they'll complain that you have too many cuts there, and that that's fake, and this and that. So there's always something about, if you make foreign language videos, I'll make more of them, I think, just chatting to people and stuff. But for the most part, either people don't watch them because, yeah, they shut the video after 5 seconds because it's like, okay, this guy's speaking whatever language, I don't understand anything, that's it. Or, yeah, they'll complain about, yeah, this is not good enough, this is that, you edited the video, so it's whatever. I might make some of them at some point, but don't hold your breath. Okay, this guy says, I hope you're well. Visiting your channel, I have seen all your videos. Should I read this in an Indian accent? All your videos and content are very good, but your video SEO optimization is not professional. Your video SEO optimization is not professional. Perhaps you're busy for managing the channel. And then, exact same comment, like a minute later, another video. I hope you are well. Visiting your channel, I have seen all your videos. Content are very good, but your SEO optimization is not professional. Okay, let's check out, guys. Pujal Roy. Social media marketing, Facebook ads campaign, YouTube video SEO. I'm a professional digital marketer, YouTuber, entrepreneur, SEO, email marketing expert, online business consultant. I have 300 YouTube channel video SEO project complete in local market. I'm always focused on my client's goal. Yeah, you have no videos and no subscribers, mate. What the hell? Trust me. I can help you grow your channel, and I can do this and that for you. I can do it for myself. I can do it for you. Just pay me. I get messaged by these clowns all the time on Twitter as well. I can grow. I can get you this many followers and this many. No, you can't. You can't do it for yourself either. They must be all learning the same, like grifting in the same school, I think. Okay. Using the 100 most common word structures reminds me of the language book The Dirty and Fast Way to Language Learning by a military fellow, printed in 2000. Military needs those immediately in a foreign land. I did not. The Dirty and Fast Way. I did not know that. That sounds interesting. I might read it. And I'm thinking of doing book reviews about language learning. There are some good ones. There are some really bad ones as well. What do you think? Would you like me to do some nice and some less nice? Those are always fun. Reviews about language learning books. Let's check this one out. The Dirty and Fast Way to Language Learning. It should be good. I'll check it. Check it out. Military tends to be pretty good at finding effective solutions to things because otherwise people die. So I'm currently learning 5 languages at the same time. I'm currently using Glossica to do 1,000 sentences daily. 200 times 5. It's improving both my listening and my pronunciation. Yeah, if you just do listening and repeating, it's brute force learning. Yeah, there's no secret technique to it. It's just 1,000 sentences a day. It's a little bit over an hour of listening and repeating sentences over and over. There's no secret technique to it, but it works. Yeah, you Goggins in it, and it really works. My advice is to combine brute force and smart learning. Yeah, work hard and work smart. Use things like associations and language islands to work smart, but also use brute force and do lots and lots of reps, because you need both. You need to work hard and you need to work smart. Right. Next question. As you're clearly much more efficient at this than me, I have a question that may be useful to others. When listening to, say, the mini stories or language islands at speed and reading the English, how many stories or sentences do you... I can't read it. Why is this not working? Let me check. How many do you... Before moving on to... Okay. When listening to mini stories or language islands at speed and reading English, how many stories or sentences do you... Why does it says like read more, but it doesn't allow me to... what the hell? Okay, let me try this. Okay. When listening to, say, the mini stories or language islands at speed and reading the English, how many stories or sentences do you do in a row before moving on to see how you're doing in listening and translating? Are you going through a relatively short block repeatedly and then working active recall, or are you going through many stories before working the active recall? As both from the perspective of best approach, general best approach for someone with ADHD. If you've got ADHD, like I do, I mean, I don't have all the answers, but what I recommend is setting timers. Try for just the input ones, maybe try 20 minutes or maybe 15 at first. For the speaking ones, maybe 5 or 10 only are enough for listening and repeating and things like that, because it gets tiring quickly. But 15 or 20-minute timer, and do as many of the sentences, as many of the language islands, many of the mini stories or whatever you're doing in that time. And when the timer goes off, then you stop, take a break, and try again. And my advice is to do the whole list once. Yeah, you get exposed to the whole list, then you do it again. The second time, you do it faster, a little bit faster, and the third time, you do it a little bit faster. Yeah, you start with normal speed, then 1.5, 1.25, 1.5, maybe 2 in the end, if you can do it that fast. And then you start with active recall. That's what I would do. Or just do it once and start with active recall. Try different things. Not what I do doesn't the exact order of how I do things doesn't have to be the best one for you. Sometimes some people like a lot of repetition. Some people prefer immediately start with recall, active recall. Yeah, so you read it once and you already start looking at the sentences in English and try to say them in the target language. Depends on you. Personally, I review them 2 or 3 times first, as fast as I can, and then start with the active recall. As for normal approach to ADHD, I don't know. I think I only know the ADHD one. Unfortunately, or fortunately, maybe. I mean, I'm doing pretty well, so ADHD is not the end of the world. Okay, where are we? Thank you for your content. You've really inspired me. Lately, I've been really down because my target language for learning is just not coming to me. I'm not sure where to begin, and it's easy to feel like giving up. Could you please give me more details on your language islands process for learning? Thank you so much. Thank you for your comment. A couple of things. First of all, about feeling like you're not making progress, feeling like giving up, all that. That happens to a lot of people. It used to happen to me as well. And what I recommend is to start doing a lot of listening. Yeah, find podcasts in the language that you like. You don't have to understand much, but just make sure you build the habit of listening every single day. Find some time like going to work and back, or you cooking, washing dishes, eating, you cleaning the house, you whatever you're doing, going for a walk. You find some time, you plan when and while doing what activities you listen to the podcast in the language, and you listen to it every single day, 1 hour or 2, every single day, even if you don't understand much. I promise that in a few weeks you'll understand way more just by doing that. If you have some basics already, just develop that habit. And even if you don't do any other proper studying, at least you'll feel productive because you get in some listening practice and you slowly improving. It's much better than nothing, right? If you feel demotivated, at least make sure you listen. And then for the language islands are very simple. You take a topic or a situation, interaction, like talking to people in a bar, talking to people in the supermarket, or talking about a hobby that you have, or talking about your day. To choose one topic and you write as much as you can. Yeah. Then you paste it on DeepL or Google Translate, and you get a text in the language that you're learning. You get one in English or your native language and one in the target language. Then you take this target language text and you create an audio file with it, with text to speech software. And you start listening, you add it to your listening materials and you start listening to it over and over again throughout the day. And you should also read it a few times, read it aloud, those sentences. You know what they mean because you wrote them and you translated them. You start reading it aloud over and over again. And that's it. That's basically a language island. If you already got into the habit of listening daily and you create some language islands, I promise that soon you'll start speaking a little bit, because if you have 100, 200, 300 sentences that you wrote and translated and created audio files and listen to them over and over daily, soon you'll have hundreds of sentences that you can say in conversation. You just remember them, and then whenever you need to say them or you want to say them, they'll be there. And also, if you already learned 200, 300 sentences with language islands, the beauty of this is that you can combine those sentences. You have all the structures already, so you can change some words and make a lot more sentences. Yeah, you can say I like football. You can also say I like that other thing, or I don't like that thing. So you can use this